Would you like to testify today? You can sign in. If you want to do it like that.
They beat the California.
Oh, yeah.
So it was awesome. Yeah. We beat 'em.
Good evening. It's awful close to 7 o'clock, so we will open the Winona County Planning Commission meeting. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Yeah, the next item on the agenda is approval of the amended agenda. Now, I have one question. This thing from Animal Folks, is that supposed to be part of the official record or? Well, that's not on our agenda, so does everyone have a copy of that?
Yourself.
Okay. All right. Louis, you move to approve the agenda as amended?
Second. Yep.
John seconds it. All, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The agenda is unanimously approved. Okay, did everyone get a chance to read the minutes from January 16th meeting?
Motion to approve the minute.
Louis moves to approve the minutes is written.
Second.
John seconds the motion. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the minutes for the January 16th, 2025 meeting, say aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, then the next item is updates, Board of Adjustment.
We had no meeting this month.
Well, that was short.
Yep.
All right, County Board.
Approved was the Bison's, that was the road, and the Eversons was the shed house. Both were approved.
Okay, at this time, I will go over the public comment for dog kennel ban rules and regulations. First of all, the Planning Commission appreciate all of you for attending our meeting tonight. If you are here in person and wish to make a public comment, you will need to be signed up on the sign-in sheet, which I just got delivered to me. After those in person are done making public comments, we will move to those online. When you come to the podium or speak online, you will need to state your name and address before making your comments. Each speaker will have 2 minutes to share your comments. A timer will be on the screen to monitor your time. This comment period is meant to gather information for the Planning Commission to provide a recommendation towards the county's board's consideration of a dog kennel breeding ban. We are here to listen to and consider your comments and concerns, but will not be answering questions or engaging in discussion with members of the public. Again, we will hear all public comments from those in person first and then move to anyone online.
motion, sir, to open the public hearing.
Yeah, I need a motion to
So moved.
open up the public hearing for the dog kennel ban.
I'll make motion to open the public hearing.
Well, Louis did. You can
Oh,
make
I'll
a second,
then.
Shep.
Absolutely.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none? All those in favor of opening the public hearing for the dog kennel ban, say aye. Opposed? It's open. The public hearing is now open. Please, okay, I gotta read you off a name. Pete Hutkowski? I hope I got that close to right.
Yes, you did. You got it just right. Good evening, everybody.
Oh, you gotta state your name and address.
My name is Pete Hudkowski, 106 Wilmer Street, Rolling Stone, Minnesota. I came here I want to tell you a definition of a puppy mill in Webster's. A commercial farming operation in which purebred dogs are raised in large numbers and often in a substandard or poor conditions. Currently, hundreds of thousands of dogs languish in puppy mills, large commercial breeding operations that supply most pet stores across the United States and contribute heavy to pet overpopulation problem. We don't need puppy mills. And these are the people who are, you've inspected who you've all had inspected are businesses. You don't want to take a business away from somebody. It's just like going down to McDonald's. You don't like it? Let's get rid of it. Same thing. It is a business of somebody's. It's been inspected. You didn't find any problems. Don't take their business away. Thank you.
Thank you. Ann Olson?
Hello, my name is Ann Olson. I'm with an organization called Animal Folks. Letter was submitted to you. Address 1041 Grand Avenue, St. Paul, Minnesota. Animal Folks has been working closely with residents of Winona County on the issue of commercial dog breeding. Over the years, considerable data, including testimony, has been presented to the Planning Commission and the County Board on this issue. On behalf of hundreds of Winona County residents, 900 petitions submitted, and others throughout Minnesota, I ask you to vote yes to ban future permits on commercial dog breeding kennels. Thank you.
Karen Rael?
Hello, Karen Riley. I live at 528 East Howard Street in Winona. I'm a Winona County resident and have been working on the issue of commercial dog breeding for years, providing testimony and letters to the editor in opposition to this breeding practice. I ask you to vote yes to ban future permits on commercial dog breeding kennels. Thank you.
Dwayne Wirt?
Dwayne Wirt, 25693 County Road 25, Lewiston, Minnesota. I believe you have my letter in the packet already. I sent that in the other day, but I'll read it off for those present this evening. I've been following the information about dog kennels and have attended meetings. I am puzzled about why we are not listening to the Minnesota Board of Animal Health, which is responsible for dog kennels. They have a long track record of quality work in keeping animals and people safe. I called the Minnesota State Animal Board of Health, and I believe that number's in my letter here somewhere if each of you would like to do that. I found out dog kennels are inspected once a year. Dog kennels must follow protocol set up by a state veterinarian working with the dog kennels, following state laws,
And this
and
map
they must have them
is
posted.
rendering
If a
from
citation is
the
written,
1980s from a man named Paul Durant.
they are on
who-
record,
who wanted-
each dog kennel and posted on a website, and I've seen a few of these. Those are concerning issues. They used to send one state veterinarian to each kennel in Winona County. But since this issue has come up in Winona County, they are now sending 2 veterinarians to each dog kennel, to get 2 sets of eyes and signatures. The person I talked to stated Winona dog kennels are exemplary example of how a dog kennel should be run in the state of Minnesota. This is comes from the State Minnesota Board of Animal Health. And from what I could find on record, there have been no citations for this past year of 2024. That's not written, but that's what I'm stating there. There are some citations in 2015, 2011, 2023, and 2024, but I haven't seen any duplicates. So health papers are issued by the state veterinarian. The dogs need to be seen, looked at. The vaccinations need to be recorded if vaccinations are needed. And I didn't know this, if a dog needs a vaccine,
2 minutes.
I'm done, sorry. But you have the rest of my letter and concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, it wasn't in my, it wasn't in the packet here at,
Oh, well,
I think it did it come through electronically?
Here, I guess.
Well, it just needs at least provide it to staff and they can make copies and make sure it gets into the official record.
And I guess a clarifying question, are you rising to speak in favor of keeping the?
Against the ban.
You are against the ban?
Yeah.
I understand that. Thank you.
okay. Now, this one I'm having trouble reading. Is it Megan Helling or something Helling?
Megan Helen, yeah.
Megan, okay. Well, it looks like we got a lot of doctors in the audience tonight.
No, not quite a doctor, but,
Okay.
so my name is Megan Helling. I'm from Lino Lakes, Minnesota. Animal folks in collaboration with Winona County residents have provided data over the years highlighting the impact of commercial dog breeding kennels and the harm they cause to both animals and people. The most recent letter in your packet submitted includes a list of USDA, this is federal, violations and teachable moments for Winona kennels. However, there may be additional violations that go unreported as the USDA has changed its policies over the years regarding what violations are recorded and how they are documented. Also, as a point of clarification, the Minnesota Board of Animal Health does not allow any inspection reports to be made public. I spoke with Dr. Kavitsto, that leads the dog and commercial cat breeder section of the Board of Animal Health this morning. He confirmed this information is not public to the on their website, or should someone call, that information is protected and under data privacy. So we have no insight into any inspection reports from Minnesota State Board of Animal Health. We ask you to vote yes on the ban for future permits of commercial breeding kennels. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mark Clark.
Mark Clark, 22199 Highway 248, Rolling Stone, Minnesota. The comprehensive plan is intended for use as general guideline for land use. The county's staff and elected and appointed officials should consistently reference the plan so that decisions reflect the community's desires. This is what the comprehensive plan says. Winona County recognizes the culture and economic importance of agriculture in the community. Local decisions should reflect the importance of maintaining agricultural practices that are recognized as approved best management practices and are conducted in accordance with federal and state laws. Furthermore, local decisions should support maintaining and sustaining the viability of family farms, promoting policies that support Winona County's strong tradition of locally owned agriculture operations, and the administration of best management practices that consider the conservation of soil, water quality, economic viability, innovative practices, and the promotion and stewardship of the land and its resources to retain the viability of agriculture for future generations. That's what we're here, that's what you are here to do tonight, is you're concerned about the future generations. And what you're doing, if you implement this ban, is you're taking an income stream away from hardworking family people in this county for no reason. They're inspected. If anything, look around. There's a lot of worse spots in this county not in this county, in other counties that raise these puppies. There should be more of them raised here, as good a job as they do in Winona County. And this is right out of, I was reading directly out of the comprehensive plan, and that's where you're supposed to be making your decisions. You and the county board are supposed to be making your decisions based on that. Thank you very much.
No, where did I put the list? There we go. Tim Sharmer.
Hey, everybody. I'm going to change this a little bit. My name is Tim Sharmer, and I live at 24690 County Road 15. And I'm going to start this off, and I'm going to read this for you that with my wife and I put this together. I'm going to put a face to the dog breeders. My name is Tim Sharmer. My wife and I operate a dog breeding facility in Winona County. We're both lifetime residents of Winona County. Born and raised here are 5 kids, 3 of which now still preside in Winona County. We have been continued to be active members in the community, volunteering, giving back in many different ways. We're asking you to vote no. The moratorium, the conditional use permits for the dog breeding kennels. We love our dogs. They're part of our family. Our dogs have names. They're played with. They're loved every day by us and now our grandkids. They receive the best nutrition. They have heated and air-conditioned areas, pens, play areas, grass play areas. We follow the Minnesota State Board of Health regulations and are inspected. Received our cup on September 20th, 2013. Voted in favor by the commissioners were Jacob, Olson, Pomeroy, Valentine, and Ward. Not a one abstained. Our puppies are adopted by people who are thrilled to bring a new family member to their homes. We meet each family personally. We hear from them after they go to their new homes. Many of our folks are coming back for their second and even third furry friend. We hear things like, she is Owen's shadow and is right next to him, follows whatever room he goes in and sits right by to him. It is just unbelievable how we found everything we hoped for our household, especially for Owen. Owen was a special needs adult. This is just one example of what we hear from more than just one person. Winona County is a great place to work and live. We raised our kids here. We love this county, and it's our county, the individuals that live in our county that have input and voices that should be heard. Thank you.
On the back, okay. I got too many pages. All right, okay, now I'm kind of at a loss at this one too. Putzier, is that it?
Nidoleski, I know.
I don't,
Me. Hi, I'm Winetta Putzier.
23583 Highway 74, St. Charles. I've been in the pet industry for over 40 years. I see a lot of different kennels in Wabasha, Olmsted, Winona counties. And I would say your licensed breeders in Winona County are the top. Okay, they're really good. You can go into those other counties and you come out smelling, your hair stink. It's really pretty bad. Okay, and I would hope that you would say no to banning it because I think it makes them come to the table that they say, you know, this is what we, you know, we have to do. You have somebody in there checking them also. You know, they're not, your licensed breeders have to hit a certain bar, okay? And they're not the puppy mills like everybody talks like they are. And I just think you should say no, that you need, you know, to ban it.
Okay, thank you. Joanne, and I can't read the last name, but what?
Wegman?
Wegman, okay.
Joanne Wegman. Address is 1121 County Road 10, Dover. Which tells you they're in Olmsted County, but we are farmers and we do rent land in Winona. I am here as a friend to the Amish. I have been in several of their kennels. What I want to say to the people and take all emotion out of it, they are inspected by 3 different entities on a yearly basis. Now, if those who want this ban, if they have issues, they might have issues with the agencies that are have oversight, not with the kennels. So I just want to bring that to everyone's attention. And the other thing that I want to say is, where do people think the working dogs come from? When I'm talking about working dogs, I'm talking about service dogs. I'm talking about the dogs that the military requests. I'm talking about the dogs that the police forces request. I'm talking about the dogs that the prisons request for their programs. They come from
Enter your access code
operations.
followed by the pound. This menu will repeat.
And please, when you make the decision, it is a decision needs to be made without emotion. And it is, as a farmer operator or somewhere.
Access code accepted. Please
Animal.
enter your participant ID. Followed.
Yeah,
There
taken
are 12 other participants in this conference. Please announce yourself. This meeting is being recorded. This meeting is being transcribed.
Okay, Ted Hazelton?
Good evening, Ted Hazelton. I live at 1073 West 5th Street, Winona, Minnesota. And I come before you tonight to ask that the Board of Adjustment do not ban or enact a ban. I have a little experience with dog kennels myself. My father, Eben Hazelton, owned and operated Hazelton Kennels in Minnesota City from 1952 till 1995, over 30 years. Over 40 years. And we were inspected. We had to have licensures and everything else that currently exists today. When you talk of a ban, typically a reason for a ban is something that creates adverse problems or endangers safety for residents. This is not the case. I've been in a few of these kennels. I know some Amish personally, since I have a part-time job where I haul the Amish around to various things that they like to do, such as weddings and funerals and reunions. So I've seen these kennels. They are state of the art. They're well kept. And that's some of their livelihood. So I would implore the county board and this board to say no to a ban. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else in the audience here in person that wishes to speak at this time? Go ahead.
I need this. Lynn Reddick, 24620 Gilmore Valley Road, Winona. I would be against the ban. It seems to me that there are already laws against abuse against animals. It sounds to me like these kennels are inspected. If they're inspected and they're finding that there's nothing wrong, what would be the reason for banning them? I don't understand that. It only takes away people's opportunity to have a business. And as a farmer, I am also concerned about that slippery slope. What's next? You're banning the dogs? Then are you going to be banning people having so many horses for breeding, cows, goats? I mean, to me, there's a danger in banning anything. You can have regulations, you can have them inspected, you can have, you know, whatever it takes to make sure those animals are taken care of properly. But I don't think there should be a ban. To me, that seems over the top. Thank you.
Okay, Ann, is there anybody online?
Yes, you'll have to ask. Anyone online wishes to.
Oh, I gotta ask.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anyone online that wishes to speak to this public hearing?
Yes, I do. This is Trish O'Neill. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but we need your name and address again.
Okay, my name is Trish O'Neill. I live at 3515 6th Place Northwest in Rochester. I'm a graduate of Winona State University and I lived in Winona for 5 years. I belong with the Humane World of Minnesota. And our mission is to make sure that animals are not kept as commodities and not treated as non-feeling part of production. These animals feel pain and suffering. And I was pleasantly surprised to hear that there are many good breeding operations in Winona County. The overall umbrella of this problem is the overpopulation that we have of pets. And I think probably you are all aware of that, as our shelters in Minnesota are overcrowded. Typically in 1 year, over 700 dogs are euthanized because of overcrowding. We don't have the capacity to keep them. More are killed than can get adopted. So I would ask that you support the ban and help prevent the overbreeding of dogs that we have in this state. Thank you.
Anyone else online? Anyone else online? Oh, you have to unmute yourself if you want to speak to us. For the third and final time, is anyone online wish to speak to this public hearing about the dog breeding kennel ban? Okay, is there anyone else in this audience that would like to speak?
I will make a motion to close the public hearing.
Shep made the motion to close the public hearing and Jordan seconded it. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The public hearing is now closed. At this time, I guess I open the floor to the members of the Planning Commission for your comments. Go ahead, John.
I've got some notes that I'd like to mostly read. Sorry if this gets a little long. I think I'll be able to make it quick. On Thursday, February 6th, Gene Hansen and I had the opportunity to meet with an inspector from the Minnesota Board of Health. His name is Howard Treadmore. Howard took us on a tour of Winona County dog breeding facilities. I'll say right now, specifically, it was the Leroy Yoder and David Yoder kennels. We were able to have, and Gene, jump in if I say anything that you don't go along with, because we were both there. We were able to have long, detailed examinations of 2 facilities and could have visited several more, except both Gene and I this was the day it was so windy and cold. We were tired of being on the ridge, getting blown around at these farms. So we had spent 3.5 hours already examining these 2 kennels in detail. So we didn't see a point in going to see any more. Let me tell you what I did not see when I was at these kennels. I did not see depressed looking dogs. I didn't see dogs cowering in corners. I didn't see unhealthy looking dogs. In fact, all the dogs looked very vigorous. I also did not see money obsessed managers, kennel managers that lacked concern for the dogs they were breeding. These were family businesses, families were taking care of the dogs. What I did see was a lot of wagging tails. I'm a dog owner myself. I have a dog now. I've had dogs in the past. I have multiple cats. I know a depressed animal when I see it, and I did not see any of that. I saw a lot of barking. It looked like happy barking, not like distressed barking. I saw spacious kennels with access to protected open air areas. And what we both saw a lot of was documentation about inspections, findings, and remediations. The letter that we have here from Animal Folks, I have a couple comments about that. I found the discussion of several dogs at the Leroy Yoder kennel a little misleading. For one thing, it implied that the behavioral dysfunctions that the dogs exhibited there's no indication in their letter that, well, maybe Leroy Yoder's conditions, kennel conditions, has something to do with it, maybe not. No, it was implied that it was due to him. But I and many of you have been in homes where there are normal families that have had pets that, for one reason or another, the pet seems to have a dysfunction. It's not that that never happens in a normal family home. But another point I wanted to make about the Animal Folks letter was this discussion of the 3 dysfunctional dogs, I believe, was 13 years old. I mean, this was an event 13 years ago. Now, I'm a businessman. I know that every year I've conducted my business, I've improved one way or another. I've learned more. I've improved my methods. And I don't think that we can ignore the fact that whatever Leroy, even if Leroy Yoder's kennel conditions had something to do with the dysfunctional behavior of these dogs, I would assume in 13 years, he's learned a lot and changed a lot. And that's just assuming, once again, that it's a possibility he has some effect on this. Now, farther down in the letter, there's a section on USDA violations. Once again, I'm going to refer to my business experience. I've worked in factories in the United States and in foreign countries for decades. Just looking at the 2.5 decades I worked in the United States in factories. Would write us up, go away, we would fix it. They come in the next time, it better be right. Maybe they'd find something else wrong, but it's always a dynamic, you know. You have inspectors write up reports because their job is to inspect and find anything that's not perfect in your operation. So the fact that there were violations is not like a violation of personal dignity or something like that. It's a violation of a record. And some of the examples or the reports given, I mean, there was one kennel with no violations. The other ones, none of them seemed very egregious to me, easily fixable, just like an OSHA violation. And in fact, a lot of them were mentioned in the report as teachable moments. That's not a big violation. But it's, once again, the inspectors come in, they inspect you, you learn what's wrong, you fix it. It's always a feedback loop. You're always improving by the findings that inspectors give to you. As I mentioned before, we were in the operations run by Leroy Yoder and David Yoder. Leroy's operation, which was, by the way, visited by Dwayne Vagley on the county board prior to us, extremely modern. It was very clean, spacious. His family helps manage it. Then we went to David Yoder's. David's operation is a little older. Still, as a pet lover myself, I did not see anything that looked dodgy at all in his operation. Some special points that I thought were important when Eugene and I went was both kennels had daily socialization plans in place for their dogs. Both kennels had in-floor heating in their kennels. Both kennels had new geothermal cooling systems being installed for the upcoming summer months. David Yoder told me that he had spent about $20,000 in getting his system, which is not yet complete, but getting it ready for this summer. So these are not fly-by-night operations by any means. They're not puppy mills. There's nothing degrading going on in these operations. They're clean. The people care about the dogs. The families are involved. These were, I thought, first-class operations. Now, another point I want to stress here, and Marcia, I'd like you to take this on board because you're going back to the county board and dealing with this later. Both of these operations are certified by Canine Care. Now, a previous speaker mentioned that there are 3 different inspections: the USDA, the state, Board of Animal Health. I assume that third one was Canine Care. So both, well, I'll say again, both Leroy Yoder and David Yoder's operations are certified to a standard. Now that standard, Canine Care, is an independent certification service provided by Purdue University College of Veterinary Medicine. People who subscribe to this have the Canine Care program certification staff come in, examine their operations. They have a whole different set of documentation that has to be maintained for this program. It's a certification program that for both of these kennels that I mentioned is an essential part of their marketing because, of course, everyone in the country who has any awareness at all is aware of the fact that there are complaints about, treatment of animals. Comes up in the news all the time. The market for pets is changing. Their national customers are requiring this certification in order to meet the developing demands of the pet market. Eugene and I saw the documentation. It's very extensive. It's very much extending beyond the health and welfare issues that are, of course, extremely important. It also focuses on the variables and the indicators of psychological health of the dogs. So, Marcia, what I am recommending is, I'm proposing, although I have no influence over it, but I'm proposing that the county drop the proposed ban of new dog breeding facilities in Winona County, and instead require that any new facilities must subscribe to this national certification program called Canine Care. The beauty of it is, of course, the number one beauty is the dogs are guaranteed to be in humane conditions. By the way, the certification team drops in unlimited times per year at random times, unannounced, and it's mandatory that they be able to get into your kennel. So it's like there's nothing that the breeder can do to game the system. They are paying their own money to have an extremely strict program applied to their kennel. So what I'm suggesting to the Winona County Board is make it a requirement of new kennels to certify according to this standard. Probably, I don't know how many of the existing operations are certified to Canine Care. I'm guessing any that aren't are probably going to be gravitating that way in the future because, as I said, I was told by both Yoders that the market just demands that this kind of certification be applied to their dogs, and in the future, it'll be a de facto standard, right? I mean, a de facto national standard. And the lower order beauty of it is the county doesn't have to allocate any money for inspections, training of staff time, doesn't have to take the responsibility for any legal issues that might come from disagreements between the breeders and the county. Everything, if you are certified by this organization at your own expense, it's way stricter and more comprehensive than anything that Winona County is likely to ever develop as a set of criteria.
I think, if I could just add, I think there is this somewhat similar program in Minnesota, and I think the Sharmers are part of that. I think it's called Breeders' Excellent Endorsement. So, but I understand.
Right. And there might, as the market continues to develop, there might be another organization similar to this that arises, but the county can decide what constitutes a reasonable and
Certification.
effective system.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. In my research, of course, a conditional use permit is issued to all these breeders, and that stays with the land, meaning that if they move anybody that moves into there can still use that conditional use permit. To me, that was a little concerning. I would have preferred to have a way to say that if somebody new or if they change the name, that they come in and they reapply for a permit. I'm not sure that that is possible, but I just wanted to throw it out there as a concern that I had. Another thing that I thought was setting limits on animal units. I know most of the conditional use permits we did set limits, but I think there are a couple out there that have no limits assigned to them. And again, that was a concern. I did note that a couple of the conditional use permits were issued to a PO box as opposed to a address. And I think that's something that was concerning to me. Out of the 15 original conditional use permits, I believe, that were issued for Winona County, we currently have counting the Charmers. I believe we have 8 breeders that are active through the USDA. They have a federal license. You mentioned that you visited David and Leroy.
Yeah.
And I had an opportunity to visit Henry Yoder and look at his operation, and I fully agree with everything you said about the operation, the heated floors, the access to water, the areas outside for the dogs to be able to go in and out as they please. The dogs seemed all healthy. They were very active and very responsive while we were in there. It's just that I would like to see that as if we agree to opening up to more conditional use permits, that we do make sure, number one, that it's assigned to a physical address and not a PO box. And if there's a way to issue new ones in such a format, like maybe an interim use permit or so, that would tie to the owner as well as the land. So if a new owner comes in, they have to come in and request for a new permit. It just gives.
That would be an interim use permit.
Interim use permit, yes. Otherwise, that's about all that I had to say for that.
John?
I just wanted to bring up so that everyone understands, I believe I'm right on this, that the ban that they're talking about, the county is going to be voting on, is of new kennels. The existing kennels are all grandfathered in. If the county has allowed it in the past, there's going to be no disruption to your operation.
They are considering another step in some type of licensure of the existing ones. That hasn't been discussed in any detail.
But it's not a ban.
It's not a ban.
Yeah.
It may require another step of some type.
Anyone else have any comments?
I have a comment.
Sure.
I feel as though, from what we're seeing here, that we have enough tools at our disposal and that are in our tool set to continue high standards of practice, where I do not feel that a ban adequately honors those who are doing it well, and maybe even setting that standard even higher. However, I feel it's just a little disingenuous to state that this influences a large farming community when reading of these 12 listed CUPs on the documentation here, 11 out of those 12 are to one family, with the sole exception of the Charmers.
One last name.
Yes,
Last name, yeah.
a similar last name, but also on the same street when you account for them all.
It's a county road.
Absolutely. In some cases, yes, but when we look at the repeating addresses here, and as for repeating names, it accounts for one family. Am I
But
mistaken?
we cannot assume that. Yoder is like Smith for a family name. It doesn't necessarily mean that all the Yoders on one road are
Fair enough.
related.
But if I, fair enough.
So we can't assume that.
Absolutely, but of the same last name, if at this point, and again, on the same road, it's reasonable to assume that they are in some way connected. So I just, when we talk about how it impacts an entire farming community, we're talking about a very specific community in a very specific part of town. Arguably, and again, that's just from what I'm taking here from the information provided by animal folks. So that assumes that this is correct, honest, and has integrity in what they state here. Absolutely, I feel as though, and I want to reiterate, we have the tools to keep the standard high. I would love it if Winona was known for fantastic, well-bred dogs. But it really just, at this point, just implies that one or two families just maintain that very high quality, if we're not going to.
Louis, you have something to say?
Yes, I do. I think you sitting there, the breeding of the dogs counts within the Winona Comprehension Plan. It is what our county's about by adding new businesses and keeping businesses in here. Subverting and limiting the amount of people that would come into this business would not help out our growth. There is an opportunity in this business also to breed service dogs, and they don't have to just be for police dogs, but they can be for the blind, the handicap, the service dogs, helping them getting that area. I believe there's a niche for that. And as far as they talk about overbreeding on dogs, the capitalist market limits the amount of dogs that you're going to raise, because if you can't sell them, they're not going to raise them.
Well, I think we found that out when the COVID epidemic was.
I'm just iterating it. We should be for capitalism.
Right.
And not sit there and put limits in where there really does not need to be limits. I mean, they're doing a good job of what they're doing. They're good neighbors on that. And I would have to say that the county does not need this ordinance.
Anyone else have something to say? Marcia?
A lot, but I'll be short. In our training before this meeting, they provided us with the Fifth Amendment and the 14th Amendment. And I think we need to be careful what we're proposing as far as banning. The Fifth Amendment is no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Well, of course, this is part of due process of law, but as it's been stated, our comprehensive land use plan as it exists today, goal number 9 on page 14 says economic opportunity for everyone. And this is exactly what it is. It's an economic opportunity for everyone. These people pay a lot of taxes. These are not non-tax properties, and the scale and scope of in-floor heat and air conditioning, everything, they're taxed at a very high rate. So they are contributing considerably to our communities. And then the 14th Amendment, nor shall any state deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Well, if we have allowed, again, I'm not a lawyer, I get my law degree off the box of cereal in the morning. But if we have allowed, in my opinion, if we have allowed dog breeding, we have a conditional use permit process that seems to be regulated. We've got state agencies, federal agencies regulating, inspecting and everything. But now all of a sudden, if we say, no, you can't do that in Winona County, I think we may be stepping on the 14th Amendment. We're saying they're okay. And I agree that they will be, grandfathered in, but there may be some future, extras put on them. But now to say somebody new coming in can't do it when we really haven't, the facts don't support a ban, because we don't have, the county board declared a public health emergency. And I think that is a real stretch because we don't have dogs running around. We don't have a rabies attack. We haven't had any outbreak of any disease with the dogs. If anything, we probably have a chicken, issue with, you talk about a disease that's affecting public health. And then, of course, and I know my lawyers love case law. Holt versus City of Sauk Rapids, the court declared unconstitutional respondent municipality ordinance limiting the number of dogs per residential unit. I'm just taking that out of something I Googled off the internet, but I think by banning it, we're stepping into a territory that is not something that the county is capable of defending or wants to put the resources into defending. And I firmly believe that, as you stated, that it is a cluster within our county that does this geographically and family. But there again, are you picking on a subcultural group within Winona County? I hope not, but it kind of sometimes could be thought of that, and I don't think that's something we want to do.
That's another worry I had also.
If you get a good, the right attorney, you'd have quite a
Oh,
case. You
absolutely.
could have quite a case.
Absolutely.
And I don't think we can defend that or would want to spend money to defend it. So I think the conditional use permit process works. I have said long and hard, you can condition something right out of existence if you want to. That is not the goal. Oh, I do have to, I'm sorry. We had that thing of conflict of interest. I am a member of the Farm Bureau, and the Farm Bureau wrote a letter, but I did not take part in drafting that letter. And we got a note from the Township Officer Association. I attend those meetings regularly. We did have a discussion, but I did not prompt them to write a letter to the commission or the county board. That was their own actions taken. So I just want to be
And both,
totally upfront.
both of those letters sought against the ban.
Yes,
Just clarification.
yes.
Well, I've tried to keep my mouth shut, but I think everybody else has had a chance to speak. If anybody else wants to say more, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to speak for a little bit. Jordan?
I have one more thing. I did want to point out that there is action being taken in Congress on this issue as far as animal welfare in regards to commercial dog breeders. Obviously, things take a long time to make their way through Congress, so it was introduced in 2023, but has not been voted on yet. But it is, to sum it up real quick, it's a bill that would require adequate housing, exercise, and veterinary care, appropriate and nutritious food, continuous access to potable water, and meaningful socialization with humans and compatible dogs for at least 30 minutes each day. So this is an issue that people are aware of nationally, and I think everything is headed in the right direction. But I think it would be an overreach on our part to ban it completely when it's when there are a lot of other venues that have not been exhausted yet to address this issue.
Okay, I don't really know where to start because I've been working on this for probably 6 years since the first time they brought it to the Planning Commission for a moratorium. And if I can find it here, I totally agree with what the Planning Commission that night said in regards to not having a moratorium. Anyway, it was part of the agenda, right?
The April 20th, 2023. What's
Yeah. Yeah.
15.
Yeah. I think this is very well stated. Now, Steve, if we do make a decision, can we just use this as our findings of fact, or at least go over it for that reason, or what order do you want us to do this in? I guess is my first question.
Well, I mean, you could obviously have a discussion about as a board, what you want to recommend to the county board. And you could use whatever documents you want to do that. And then staff would help iron out the language or anything you would need to convey to the board what you want to convey.
Okay, well, I'm taking on my on shoulders here, but does anyone want to make a motion on this subject?
I'll make a motion. We do not proceed with the ban and allow conditional use permits in the future to be issued by.
Is there a second?
Second.
Louis seconds it. All right, is there any further discussion or amendments?
Go ahead, Marcia.
I just would like, if the county board's looking to improve and protect the animals and, hopefully the breeders and everything. I do like the idea of putting something in there, either that breeder of excellence endorsement or the canine care certificate. And I guess I need a little more information, timeline, how quickly that can be obtained. And that can be a condition put on any new application, that be obtained within a certain time frame. And we can get more details on that. But I do like that as being a higher bar being established for our breeders. I think it's attainable, and I think it would be an important tool.
Yeah, that was all I was gonna add as well. I was curious if John wanted to add that as an amendment or,
Well, would you
Just an additional
do you want it as an amendment?
I'll add that to the amendment. I would propose that we do not enable a ban, that conditional use permits be issued where they are warranted, and that one of the conditions at this point be that they seek certification from a canine certifiable club.
Seek and obtain.
Seek and obtain, yes.
Louis, do you second that
Yeah, I'll
motion?
second the motion, but I got something else to add.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
To this. What we see what's going on in Washington and the actions they're taking on the federal level. There are people that committed acts of fraud and other acts that are in the government and supposedly have the ability to have sovereign immunity. They may not have that sovereign immunity, our elected officials, when they go directly against known law. This is getting into Harry, some he might want to read in a little more. But we could sit there where active members are going to be facing in federal court someplace doing this. And I would think that the persons that want to propose this, they may want to look at that before they vote for the ban. Because it could be their house online, their wealth, their retirement could be online. It's a possibility of it.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any other discussion on this proposal?
I want to vocalize just a little bit of concern is because we're listing specific agencies that aren't governmental or may be for profit. I don't want to give the impression that we are showing favorability towards the same way that we would not recommend a contractor for use. I don't want to make recommendation for an agency that may be for profit or that we haven't done enough research to confirm that that there's no conflict.
The county board would have to get some research done and
Absolutely.
make a judgment.
That's why we recommended a certification from a dog.
Absolutely, just
friendly.
as long as it's the
We're not gonna-
the end goal just being to the increased standards of practice, not naming any specific.
Yeah, not specifically one group. or
Absolutely. All right,
over
yeah,
another.
that seems reasonable.
We have a motion and a second to vote.
Yeah. But we're still,
I'll call it.
is there,
I'm calling the
all
question.
right, you're calling the question, that's fine. All those in favor of Steve's motion, and I don't even have it written down, so can somebody help me?
Steve, would you reiterate?
If I can. Yeah, I propose that we do not proceed with the ban for dog breeders. We continue to issue conditional use permits where warranted based off of a possible certification of a dog, I'm not sure exactly,
Dog
from
breeding
a
kennel.
dog-friendly
Yeah.
certification.
Eric,
Could I add maybe just a suggestion as a friendly amendment? I know you said conditional use. The last, I think, nexus of some of the permits we worked on were interim use permits. So we would want that because that is kind of how these permits have evolved through the years that we've been involved with it, and sometimes an interim use permit.
Although if we're gonna ignore me calling the question,
Yeah.
I'm going to also say that if you have a dog breeding operation that's invested in first-class infrastructure for their operation, an interim use permit is not gonna make it right. It has to be conditional so that you've set up a business, you've been successful by everybody's standards that are objective standards. You want to retire, you have something to leave to your family or to sell to another party. And a conditional use permit provides for that, interim use permit. I don't think provides that protection for your investment.
Jordan,
I think it would be good to leave it open to either option. And I think our county staff does a good job of informing the applicants. So if they were to choose to only want an interim use permit, I think that would be appropriate as well.
All right, I agree with you. I agree with you.
okay, the question has been called.
CUP.
All those in favor of the motion on the floor, which I won't try and repeat,
Do not proceed with the ban.
to not proceed with the ban, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion is carried unanimously. Is there any other business that should be brought before the planning commission this evening?
I will second that
Well,
motion.
just a second. I thank all the people present for their participation. I think we had some good discussion. I think that probably, even though we talked about this earlier, we all learned something here tonight, no matter how much we thought we knew before we got here. So thank you. All right, now, who moved to adjourn? Louis did? Okay, and who's gonna second it?
Second.
Jordan will second it. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye. I don't think we have to.